even though we're still in the midst of the spring calving season and the breeding season is several weeks away. Now I think it's a good time for ranchers to schedule with their local veterinarian to have the bulls put through what we call a breeding soundness exam to make sure that the bulls that we're going to turn out this spring are best suited to get the job done, the job that we've purchased them to do, and that of course is to get cows bred. When you schedule that breeding soundness exam, I'd also talk to that veterinarian about the need to have a trichomoniasis test done on our bulls. In some cases that may be necessary, in other cases they may say no, we don't need to do that this year. But I certainly would visit about that particular subject. When it comes time to take the bulls in for the breeding soundness exam, expect to have about 4 different things happen to those bulls. Number one, a general health condition of the bull will be examined. The body condition is going to be very, very important. We'd like to have those bulls in a body condition score 6 at the start of a breeding season, but also the veterinarian will look to see if they're sound on their feet and legs, if the eye health is clear, and of course if the bulls have any indication of disease or sickness that could impair their reproduction. Then there will be an examination of the reproductive tract, both internally and externally. They'll do an internal exam via the rectum to check the secondary sex glands to make sure that there's no inflammation or potential problems in that area. And then an external exam of the reproductive tract will take place to look for any kind of adhesions, abnormalities, perhaps abscesses or warts that could cause some problems with the bull trying to breed cows. Also, an examination of the scrotum, including scrotal circumference, will be made, and there will be a minimum number of centimeters that bull must have a scrotal circumference in order to pass the breeding soundness exam. And then the 4th area, of course, is a semen sample will be taken from the bull and examined underneath the microscope. They will look for both motility of the sperm cells, and there must be an absolute minimum of 30% of the cells going forwardly motile in that microscope field area. Also, they will look for the shape of the cells, and at least 70% of the cells must be a normal shape in order for the bull to pass the breeding soundness exam. Well, after all of this is done, then the veterinarian will look through the entire exam, and if the bull passes all of these different areas, then they will mark him as a satisfactory breeder. If he absolutely fails in one of the areas where the veterinarian will assume that this situation is bad enough that it can't be corrected, then they will mark him as an unsatisfactory breeder. Another possibility is that, especially with young bulls, that there may be some areas where they just don't quite meet the minimum standards of a breeding soundness exam just due to their age. And the veterinarian knows that in 4 to 6 weeks, the bull will change enough that he might go ahead and pass. And so they'll mark him classification deferred. I think that's an important thing for our producers to understand, that some of these bulls may change in a short period of time, and we may not want to cull him based on just that first breeding soundness exam, especially if the veterinarian calls him classification deferred. I'd certainly do this as soon as possible, so that if we have some bulls that do not pass the breeding soundness exam, that we've got 30 days or more in order to go to a production sale or to a purebred producer in our area and replace any of those bulls that do not pass the breeding soundness exam this year. I hope that'll help you get the bulls ready for this upcoming breeding season, and we sure look forward to visiting with you again next week on Sunup's Cow Calf Corner.